This week on the Tailgate podcast, let's just say, I don't know, Julio, a whole lot of get off my lawn bullshit.
Yep, that's right. We're going to be talking about the Fernando Tatis drama and the unwritten rules of baseball.
Sneak preview, they suck. Then next we go into the domination of the Giants this past series with a sweep and the struggles with the Diamondbacks, dropping the first two and then getting a pretty convincing win today. A little bit of a roller coaster. After that, kind of go into a very interesting little thing. Julio, I don't know if you saw this week. Wait, you did, because we just did a podcast about it. The A's are the number one increase in TV viewership for the entire league. We kind of talk about why we think that is and how it's going to affect potentially the league going forward. Then what's up?
And then we're going to be closing out with a new segment we like to call Does It Work or Does It Not? Where we're going to be talking about the first month of baseball in the new COVID world. How has Major League Baseball done? How have the new rules done? As well as Oakland A's in the first month. They've been a great success, but how have they looked as a whole?
Then, of course, as always, we preview the coming week and we pick our Essential Tailgate Tools of the week. So, time to start tailgate. We just pulled up. Let's set up these beer pong tables and let's start drinking. What do you say?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We got a long episode today, folks, because we got a lot of bitching to do from me and Julio in our first segment, and then we have a lot of just fun conversation about this season and new things that we've noticed and experienced about just probably the most unique, different season of Major League Baseball we'll ever see in our lifetimes. Welcome to the Town Tailgate Podcast. I am Chris Madrigal, and that is Julio Reynoso.
Reynoso. I know so because I'm Reynoso. What's up?
There it is. Have you ever said that to someone before? Or did you just think of that off the top of your head?
I think I have used it. If someone's like, I know so, I'm like, I know so? I'm like, Reynoso. I've used that on somebody before, and I've probably...
I actually fucking dig that. That'd be like a good Twitter handle or something.
It's a...
I know so.
No, it's a great, if I was like a TV lawyer.
A TV lawyer.
Like on the commercials.
Like you're saying.
Did you get whiplash from driver from a car accident and it wasn't your fault? Did you have food poisoning? Well, you know so. I know so. Reno so.
Like the Celino and Barnes. Celino and Barnes.
Yeah. Or what's the
injury attorneys?
What's the one? Adriana's lawyer, with the one that's always on the side of the bus in LA. It's very.
Oh
LA.
Yeah. This is very LA talk.
LA talk, followed by A's talk. Yeah. Interesting week, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Baseball is it's kind of, we'll talk about in a second, but the last couple of days in baseball is where things really got interesting. But for the A's this last week, it's kind of a tale of two teams. And we're going to dive in a little bit more later, so make sure you listen to the full thing.
You brought up an interesting stat about that, and I can't wait to jump into that later on.
Also, if you are not already, please make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, like and rate, all that great stuff. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe as well. And if you're not following us on Twitter, be sure to follow us on Twitter as well.
Thank you for that. Perfect plug. So let's jump into the stuff. So news around the league. We really felt like there was only one story that was worth talking about because we know that we're going to spend a lot of time on it. All right. What was this, on Monday or was this on Tuesday? This was...
I don't know what time is anymore, man.
Yeah, I want to say it was yesterday on Tuesday.
Monday.
It was Monday. So, on Monday, the San Diego Padres were beating the Texas Rangers 14-5, right? It was 14-5.
As most teams do, yes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have a blowout and sometimes you don't. So they're winning. Blowout. They won that game 14-5. It's towards the end of the game. It's already a blowout. Fernando Tatis, probably the best player in baseball this season, comes up to the plate, and he gets 3 straight balls. 3-0 count. If you watch baseball, most of the time, most managers, especially in today's world, on a 3-0 count, they give you the sign of take. What a take is in baseball is literally exactly what it sounds like. You take the pitch. You don't swing at it in the hopes that it will be ball 4 and you'll walk. 90% of 3-0 at bats, this is kind of the way it goes. But certain hitters get the green light and they swing on 3-0. I don't know if Fernando Tatis got the green light or not, or if he was just like, fuck it, I'm swinging. But he swings at a pitch, and 9 times out of 10, this is like a fastball right down the middle because the pitcher knows that the hitter's not going to swing. He's going to take the pitch. Fastball just right down the middle of the zone. Tatis just fucking hammers the ball with 3 men on. So, grand slam, goes out of the park, just fucking crushes it, hits a grand slam, runs around the bases. Very next pitch, or batter, I think it was the first pitch too. Very next batter, first pitch, throws it directly at the next hitter. Umpire stops, calls together his fellow umpires. They talk about it. You're kind of thinking like, okay, that was intentional. He's pissed off. He should probably get thrown out of the game. He does not get thrown out of the game. In the press conference after the game, the Rangers manager, whatever the fuck his name is, I don't even care anymore. He's a fucking douchebag. The Rangers manager says in his press conference when asked about the Tatis grand slam on a 3-0 pitch, says, back when I played, it was an unwritten rule that when you are losing by a significant amount in a game, on a 3-0, you do not swing. Twitter has gone apeshit the past couple days over this. Most people, I mean, I follow most people my age, so maybe that's just who I'm following. But most people are more on the side of unwritten rules are for pussies. Fuck that shit. And I'm sorry to Julio's dad. I know you say that I curse a lot, but I can't help it.
No, it's great because I don't think I told you about this, but my brother Mondo had texted me the other day. Shout out Mondo, what's up?
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys, I listened to the show. You guys are doing a great job. He's like, I like that other guy. He cusses a lot. Has a lot of passion. So
it's just my thing.
It's hey, whatever. That's your way of communicating.
Anyway, so yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll let you go.
Yeah. So what? Okay. Manager. His name's Chris Woodward. And the weirdest thing...
Okay, Chris Woodward,
yeah.
bitch. Good enough.
Yeah. The weirdest thing, too, you would immediately think that the team would have your back, no matter what the scenario is. And if you watch kind of like the clips that have come around and circulated from it, you see like Eric Hosmer is kind of letting the Rangers dugout know, like, hey, I got it. And you see him in between the innings. He's talking to him like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that or whatever. We don't know what the full conversation was. But that's kind of bullshit. And then after the game, you have Jace Tingler. He's the manager for the Padres. Was apologizing for Fernando Tatis, and then they made him Fernando Tatis apologize after the game. Another thing, too, Jace Tingler actually came from the Rangers organization as a manager, so there's probably like some weird connection there. But if it were up to me, Fernando Tatis is the season he's the best player in baseball as of the season. He's only he's 21. The dude is still learning. He's gonna be the franchise of the Padres, and he's gonna be a great player for a long time. From what everybody's saying is true of what we've seen this season. And then your manager's not going to defend your guy and have his back. If I were Padres ownership and leadership, I'd be like, if you pull this shit again and you don't defend him or any of your players in that situation, like, dude, you're gone. I think that's unacceptable to me. Like,
yeah, I didn't know that his manager didn't defend him, so that's kind of fucked up.
No, yeah, and it's if you were to be like, hey, yeah, we understand that's a kind of thing. It's a learning experience. We'll talk to him about it. But like that's different. But in coming out and saying he apologized. He does nothing. I'm like, it's stupid on these unwritten rules. Like this.
I I just don't understand like the idea behind the unwritten rules. So it's like, okay, so let like no, behind this specific unwritten rule. So like are they supposed to just like keep trying to strike out and like lower their personal stats and just like not even try while the other team is like trying to come back and score so that like they can make a competitive game? Like what the fuck? If I'm the team that's blowing the other team out, I don't want you coming back. I don't want you anywhere close to the score. I want to whoop your ass and I want to send you home. Like there's nothing in my DNA that would be like, yeah, maybe we'll just lay off for a couple innings so they can make a little comeback and make an interesting game. No, fuck you. You're fucking losing. So like, it's not my fault that you suck. That it's simple as that. It's not my fault that you suck. So I'm gonna keep playing well. Yeah. Pitch better. Simple as that. Pitch better. If you're down 3-0, don't just throw a fucking fastball straight down the middle, assuming that I'm not gonna swing at it. Because like, I have every right to. Everything in the rules says that I can do this. Unwritten rules are for fucking pussies. That's really what they are.
And if you're okay, if I was the pitcher, because my logic is, I'd rather throw an outside pitch in a 3-0 count, something that's gonna be a little lower in like lower in the strike zone, because if I leave it up, like we don't know, that's gone. I'd rather give up one run and a walk than give a grand slam. And you have to think about it. So there was this guy on Twitter. You might have heard of him. A lot of our listeners may have heard of him. His name is Johnny Bench, the best catcher ever. Came out and defended Fernando Tatis. He's like, what was he going to do with this? Look, he's like, I'll see if I can pull up the exact quote here. But more or less, what's he going to... Okay, here we go. So you take a pitch. You're 3-1. The pitcher comes back with a great setup pitch, 3-2. You're ready to ground out into a double play. Everyone should hit 3-0. Grand slams are huge. Johnny Bench is in that. Reggie Jackson came out and defended Fernando Tatis, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. Like, I don't get... Look, to me, I think it's just if you're going to come out and complain that it's a 3-0 count, you shouldn't be swinging, blah, 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 blah. I think it's just fragile masculinity, dude. And I think there's a lot of that with baseball.
That's exactly what it is. That's 100% what it is.
You don't want to get pinched?
It's ego. Better. It's ego and masculinity. Yeah. I just can't believe that this manager had the balls to come out and even say that. Like,
he got suspended too, by the way.
How did you think that was gonna go, dude? How did you think that was gonna go? Like, you really thought that people were gonna be on your side and be like, yeah, that's fucked up sportsmanship. No.
So
not at all.
A couple other things I kind of noticed or picked up on, like over the aftermath of it, really. Well, one, the Padres won tonight. Manny Machado hit a walk-off grand slam against the Rangers. So
great.
There you go.
Payback's a bitch.
But Manny was actually, it's kind of some justice for him, because he was actually the hitter on deck when Tatis hit that grand slam. And you can tell there's actually a clip when Tatis hit it. Manny's just like, oh, fuck, they're going to throw at me. You just see in his face, like, why'd you do that? Just like, man, he knew what he was going to get hit.
Man.
But the other thing was, on last night's game, Tuesday, they actually, they posted the game score, the Rangers, and they turned off the replies on their tweets, so nobody was able to reply.
That was like the ultimate bitch move, like the fucking ultimate bitch move, to turn off your replies on your tweet. Like, get the fuck out of here.
And I think
CBS baseball writer Danny Vietti tweeted something. He tweeted a video talking about it. Pretty much, I mean, he's a millennial. He's on kind of had the same opinion that we're having right now, but just not as aggressive as me, apparently. If the listeners couldn't tell, I'm pretty upset and annoyed by this. I responded to his Twitter, his tweet saying, I feel like this is the perfect moment for an, in quotes, okay boomer, ... And he liked my tweet, so, it did something right there. But this is just like we keep on talking about this. Boomer, like, it's just it's another classic baseball okay boomer moment. And this is what's ruining the fucking game. Look, okay, so we're going to get into it in a little bit. when we get into A's news. But you know what? I mean, we can. Do you have anything more to say about it? Because this actually be a really good segue.
Um, it's we're gonna go and talk about when it comes to AIDS because baseball's a lot of people are watching baseball again, and if you look at the ratings, it's a huge demographic explosion in people in our range of the 25 to 40 millennial range, really, and that's awesome. That's what baseball's needed, and now we have so many extremely not just like great players, but guys are like really exciting too. Like, sorry, Mike Trout, you're amazing, probably gonna be the best player we're ever gonna see, but he's very dull. But like Fernando Tatis and Tim Anderson, just
Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, fucking Brandon Lowe, like all these guys, Tyler Glasnow, all these like really fucking good young players.
Trevor Bauer, like these dudes who just play are just awesome and just have like so much swag with them, and they have so much passion, and they speak up when they're pissed and when they want their opinions heard. And it's like, this is what you want. This is what's made the NBA really blow up over the last 20 years was David Stern realized, like, dude, this is a player league. We shouldn't be making these guys wearing suit and ties when they're not playing. Like, let them wear what they want. And that's a huge culture explosion, and it impacted everywhere. And it's like, this is a grand opportunity for baseball. You could really, really bring in so many people. When you're doing dumb shit like this, and you have unwritten rules, I mean, it hurts. But there's no such thing as bad PR. So
it wasn't an unwritten rule that black players weren't allowed to play in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Yeah. So like, just shut the fuck up. like just shut the fuck up, boomers. Anyway, great segue. So I think that's like that mentality is what has killed baseball. The old style, like get off my lawn type of mentality with a lot of these older either managers, older baseball writers, because a lot of the baseball writing community is older
generation,
Gen X and baby boomers. It's not until really recently that media companies have noticed the older people, the older, writers, and started hiring younger writers like Jessica Kleinschmidt, like Katie Wu, like Jeff Passan, Danny Vietti, like all these younger people. So it's been a little bit better, a little bit younger coverage. But so the ratings for general baseball have gone up this season, but in particular, the three teams that have increased the most in ratings in this season, which is all three of them were 280% plus, which is insane. Like, that's just like, I mean, tripling your viewers in one season is crazy. The A's were the number one television ratings increase in the league. Number two was the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think a part of that is because the Spectrum deal is over. I think.
I was gonna say.
I think they made their team more accessible. Reason. Yeah. And then the third team was the Tampa Bay Rays. So Julio, what are the three things about those three franchises that really are the most like? What is the common factor in these three franchises? I know what it is, but I want to know if you can point it out.
The common thing. So it was. Let me. I have to read
the A's.
Again, it was A's, Dodgers,
and the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Well, one, they're all super exciting teams.
Mm-hmm. They're all good, obviously.
They're all great. They're all really good teams. They have a lot of exciting for it. I can tell you easily with the A's and the Dodgers. I think just being in such a massive market in the Bay Area and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
With the new COVID world, and a lot of people like myself are working at home now, and I watch baseball. Chris and I were kind of arguing about this earlier because like he's been watching basketball playoffs all day, and I'm still watching baseball all day. I'm still, even if it's like I was watching Tigers, White Sox for like a while earlier.
Yeah.
But with the Rays, I don't know. Okay, now I'm interested. What do you think to that connection?
It's highly correlated to our last segment in the unwritten rules with the older folk. They're a younger, fun team. They like to play baseball, and they have fun playing baseball. They're flamboyant. They're funny. They do stupid shit. Like, they're just it's simple as that. When you watch a game, you never know what you're gonna get out of these guys, like the funny, stupid stuff that they do. That's why people. That's why I think people watch them. That's really that. And yeah, like you said, it was what was the demographic was 18 to 35 that they're growing that much. Like that's what people want to watch. They don't want to watch like the old ass Giants and Hunter Pence like using a cane to get from first to second to like off a double. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So the other thing that, yeah, again, a little bit of a slow week with the baseball news. Something we happened tonight. We're not going to get too heavy into it because it is a developing story. We want to kind of see what the true fallout is going to be. But during the Reds Royals game, it was a doubleheader or a back-to-back game. During the game, the color analyst of Tom Brenneman for the Cincinnati Reds.
No, he's the play-by-play.
Play-by-play. Sorry, but whatever, same thing.
No, it's not.
He said use a homophobic slur without realizing he was on air. During the game, he actually issued a formal apology. Said he was a man of faith. He is not that kind of person. Again, this is an ongoing thing. We don't want to really get too in depth with this topic, but fuck him. There's no room for any of that kind of language. If it's off air, like this is what you're saying off air. There's no room for that. Period. Anywhere. If that's what you're saying off air, what are you saying behind closed doors and to the people around you? Like that's.
Bro, I mean, this guy probably watches Fox News, so like, let's not take him too seriously. He's gonna probably be fired.
So yeah, he got suspended.
He's probably gonna be fired eventually. It's just whatever. Like, just fuck this guy. He's probably closed-minded. He probably thinks that China's out to get the United States too, bro.
You just know, like over the next couple of days, that Trump is gonna come out and support him. And it's just going to be this whole thing and he's going to he's going to speak at the Republican National Convention next week.
Oh, God. So another thing about him is he works for Fox Sports during the football season. He's like one of their play-by-play announcers. So I brought that up to Julio in the pre-show stuff, and that's another thing. So I don't know what Fox Sports is going to do about that, but that's going to be something to look for also.
So before we change the subject and just kind of go off the rails a little bit. The best part about this during his mid-apology, Nick Castellanos hit a home run, and it was the saddest home run call I've ever heard. You're gonna see it all over the place. I'm
gonna look at this.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh.
But when we're done,
Chris and I were actually joking in text earlier because we were dogging on Chris Russo because of course he's like this traditional rules. I'm like, dude, get out of here. And we're like,
he's one of the many boomers who was pushing for who was on the favor of the unwritten rules after that whole situation. So yeah, he whatever.
But we were having our talking about if like a Fox News sports channel, and like, all right, well, Chris Russo would do baseball, Jason Whitlock would do basketball. Yeah. And then we got our new guy, Tom Brenneman. He's been doing the NFL college football.
He can, he can co-host that show with Mad Dog Russo. All right, let's jump back in A's news. I forgot that we were gonna bring that up, but that's fine. We'll jump back in A's news. So we're jumping back and forth, but here it is. All right. So let's review the past week. So they had an amazing sweep against the Giants, which is not that amazing.
Wonderful.
Well, it's amazing for us because fuck the Giants. But it's not that amazing because the Giants suck, so it's not very impressive. And we won 2 of those games on walk. One was a walk-off. The other one was, or not quite a walk-off. Sorry, because they were played at the Giants Stadium. They were
behind in the late innings.
Came from behind the late innings. There you go. That's why you're here, Julio. And then, but the last game was a blowout, so I guess
big summer blowout.
Do something. And then me and Julio have been back on a very hard low the past couple days because they got fucking whooped by the Arizona Diamondbacks on Monday the 17th. Well, not necessarily whooped, but they lost. 3-4, and then yesterday they got whooped on the 18th, 1-10. Which was a Frankie Montas start, which was the roughest part about it, because it's like, fuck, dude, he's supposed to be like our for sure thing every single week, and
Yeah.
he's struggling. But today they came back, a nice little 4-1 win. It was 4-0 the entire game, and then Joaquim Soria just gave up one small little run in the ninth inning. No big deal, but came back with a win. So a lot of more roller coaster ride, Julio, as it's been most of the season.
Yeah. Well, I just gotta say, I think on behalf of Chris and I and Mason, because he was on last week, we gotta apologize to the Arizona Diamondbacks because we did not give them the time of day at the end of last week. We talked a lot, and it was mostly us just talking shit on the Giants. We did not talk about the Diamondbacks, and they have actually been playing excellent baseball over the last couple of weeks. Offense has really been clicking well. The rotation, as we saw over this last couple days, really has been holding up well. Merrill Kelly has actually been one of the better pitchers in the rotation, but the A's got to him today. But it's interesting. It's kind of the point that I was trying to make to Chris earlier this week was the A's are a tale of two teams.
Mm-hmm.
At home, when they're at home, they're dominant. They look like they're a World Series contender, but on the road, they're very pedestrian. Over the last 8 games on the road, excluding the Seattle series, because that was almost a month ago now, they're 4-4. If it wasn't, and keep in mind, 2 of those wins came off of miraculous comebacks against the Giants. They easily could have been 2-6.
Yeah.
During that same time, the Astros went 7-1, and they're only 2.5 games back.
Yeah, they've won 7 straight.
Big blow, though, because Jordan Alvarez is out for the year. Bregman, again, developing story. He left the game earlier today. We don't know what the seriousness of it is. But it's like they caught a lot of games.
Altuve's still playing like shit, though, on the bright side.
Yeah, but Correa still lined it up.
Yeah.
But, like, the guy don't want the worst. But anyways. So what's going on? We're scoring well. The team is still scoring throughout that whole series, those 8 games.
I mean, our run differential's plus 27.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking great.
During that series, though, they were they're scoring about 6.3 runs a game, that's excellent. You should be winning all those games. What's going wrong? They gave up 6.25 runs a game. So more or less, they're giving up as many runs as they're scoring, and there's some games where there's massive blowouts, and as it was with the Angels last week, and then with Dylan Bundy on the mound, and then the Diamondbacks yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, and another apology to the Diamondbacks because they are a good team, and they were a good team last week when we recorded, and we just totally just glossed over it because we were just excited about beating the Giants and sticking it to all of our Giants friends. Yeah, I mean, so like the Diamondbacks right now, if the playoffs ended today, they would be the 6th seed. They're playing really good baseball. They're 1 game over 500, but they're also in the toughest division in baseball. So that's the reason why they're only 1 game over 500. If they played in like the NL Central or the NL East, they would be battling for first place, like competitively. The only reason why they're not in the West is because the Dodgers have won 18 games. It's pretty wild. So yeah, I think that's kind of like, and especially after they won today, that's making me a more settling factor. That like, okay, like maybe we can compete with the NL West a little bit because they won today, but we have been, other than the Giants, atrocious against the NL West this season. And a big part of that was something that we've been talking about a lot, Julio, in our just text message. I think the AL West just fucking sucks. I think it's the worst division in baseball. So we're in the worst division of baseball, which props us up, and then we have to play our out-of-division games against the best division of baseball, which props us back down. So that's why it's like a roller coaster fucking every week, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, honestly, and I for sure thought the worst division would have been actually the NL Central's given us a run for the money too. But I thought for sure it was going to be the AL Central because Detroit, huge rebuild. Kansas City, huge rebuild. I personally thought the Indians were going to be a worse team this year, but they've been their rotation's been lights out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if a lot of us really expected that. We thought the Twins were going to run away with that division. But yeah, we're getting, and the thing is too, a lot of these, like the Rangers, who knows? Lance Lynn has been kind of a godsend for them, but the recitation has had major injury issues. They've been very shaky. The Angels, yeah, Dylan Bundy, again, same thing. Been a godsend. It's been excellent on the season. The recitation's very shaky. Same with the bullpen. And then Seattle will come back with their hockey team in a couple years.
Dude, the the Angel, the Kraken, the Angels have 17 losses, man. That's a lot. And like it's like I know that they missed Rendon in the beginning, but they only missed Rendon for like a handful of games. Like I don't know.
They've just
I'm starting to feel better about my just constant shit talking on the Angels this entire offseason.
Well, they've been hit pretty bad by the injury bug. You look at Ohtani he can't pitch for the rest of the season. He missed some time hitting wise. I know. Look, he's let me have that little faith in that guy that I really like.
No, I like watching him play. Don't get me wrong.
Adrielson Simmons has been out.
That's true.
Rendon missed that first week or so. I have Justin Upton. I can't remember if he was out or not. But yeah, they've had injury issues, and that I think, knock on wood if you're with me, the A's have actually been pretty lucky when it comes to injuries so far, outside of guys like Bert Smith and then Puck, I guess, and then Montas over this.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been hit the hardest with that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be scary. We'll get a little bit more on why this is a bigger concern when we talk about the coming week of the season. But I think as of right now, we just got to be happy because Luzardo pitched arguably his best game as a major league starter tonight.
Yeah, he was really good.
Lights out stuff against a great offense. So.
Yeah, so for the listeners, the stat line on that is, because I'm sure you want to hear it if you haven't watched the game. He's pitched 6 1/3, only had 4 hits, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. He was pretty dominant. It was a lot of fun to watch. And it Montas had a bad start. He'll bounce back next week. I'm 100% confident on that. Chris Bassett is consistently doing Chris Bassett things. I know Mason isn't very. We talked about this last week. He's not very high on him. Doesn't think he's like a number 3 starter in a rotation or in a playoff series. But he continues week after week after week, proving that he is consistently going to be an above-average pitcher. Which you can throw that in the number 3 slot in a playoff game series if you really need to, and you know what you're going to get out of him. Maybe he gives up 2 or 3 runs. You just got to depend that the offense can go run for run with the other team. And he's been good. Mike Fiers is all over the place. So it's been nice having that consistent veteran in the rotation to ground everybody.
I think,
especially the young talent.
You bring up a good point with as long as the offense kind of hits, and we're kind of seeing so far. If you look at the standings, you look at their schedule over this past month.
Yeah.
More than anything, it's so important that they got to clinch home field throughout the AL.
Yeah.
Or in the playoffs in general, because it's.
Or at least the 2 seed. So then maybe the ALCS you don't get the home field advantage, but
they're
the playoffs.
Because they're playing so much better at home.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's same for a lot of teams, except actually the Brewers. The Brewers actually have a better away record, but we don't talk NL here, or NL Central. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, the 1 or 2 seed is if especially with the home and away splits that overwhelming, like you said, it's definitely going to be important to get the 1 or the 2 seed in the playoffs. Cool. So the last piece of A's news is a shout out to Dontrelle Willis, D-Train. He liked a really funny tweet that Julio posted, which is great. So hopefully we can build a friendship with him on social media, and maybe he'll be a future guest one day when we have sponsorships.
D-Train.
Or maybe he'll be our first big guest, and he'll get us sponsorships.
We'll find the exact minute mark of the podcast for him to listen to, but this is our pitch to D-Train, East Bay native. Come and help out some fellow East Bay natives on this Oakland A's podcast. We'd love to have you on here. I think we all, myself, and I'm sure a lot of my friends and Chris included, grew up with you, like idolize you because you're from the East Bay. We did the leg kick whenever we'd go out and play
Dude, the
baseball.
leg kick. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on here. Thanks for liking the tweet.
2003 World Series champion.
Dude, no joke. I think that's probably like my favorite World Series team. I loved playing with the Marlins on like MVP baseball 04.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, and we can get into that off air. Or maybe another podcast. Maybe we can go into
We'll do it on your podcast.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one. Our favorite teams to play with from MVP baseball 2005. Yeah, D Train. Come on here. Trust me, we're a fun podcast. We wouldn't grill you on questions and shit like that. We would literally just talk A's with you, like we did with Mason last week, and then you can give us all the insight and knowledge that you have because you're so much wiser than us when it comes to baseball. All right, let's go over last week's essential tool of the week. Julio, let's talk about yours first.
Yeah. Tony Kemp. Tony Kemp was my guy. He, just like the rest of the A's offense, he had a
Fucking lit it up.
He had a great series in San Francisco, but against the Diamondbacks, he regressed. He hit 200 for the week. He was in the lineup every day, and that was the one thing that I remember pointing out in last week's show was because of the Laureano suspension, we're going to need somebody like him playing every day so we can kind of ease up the legs on the outfielders, and that's what happened. And it was just an extra perk that he played so well in that Giants series. Diamondback series again.
He hit in that 2-hole for 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the 2-hole while Laureano was out. But again, regressed against the Diamondbacks hitting wise. The big thing, Fossey brought up a really good point last night during the. It was just first off, announcers, when you're getting blown out, they're the best because that's when the real talk comes out from them. But he brought up a great point because it looked like Tony Kemp was trying to just swing too hard. He's trying to swing for the fences, and he's like,
"Yeah,
these are awesome players. Like, you're not going to hit for home runs." He was like, he compared him a lot to Jemile Weeks, which is like not the best power guy. He's not a power guy, but hey, great contact, good speed, good on second base, and
yeah,
it proved it. Like, if you can just kind of do that, don't do anything extra, you should be able to be like an everyday second baseman for the A's.
Do you think because he had a good weekend, at least not week, but weekend, and because Pinder isn't hitting so well, that he's gonna be the regular second baseman for the rest of the season, like the everyday guy?
I could see it.
He'll keep platooning.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, Pinder's fallen off a little bit hard. He's kind of running into the same issue that I think the team as a whole does when they get in these offensive lulls, which is they go big or go home. They just love swinging for the fences so much, and when that happens, that's when you see, again, great game tonight. They struck out like 9 times. That's what happens. When you go big or home, it's cool. When you do hit it, great turnout. But when you don't, you're going to strike out 9, 10 times. And I think the A's are actually they're first in the league in terms of strikeouts as a team. So that's what happens. And I think Tony Kemp is that kind of player. Once he realizes that, like, work the count, get on base, swing for single doubles, you'll be great. But yeah, I could see him really taking this position for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I like him there. I feel comfortable with him there, even when he's not hitting well, as long as he's like further down the order, not taking up more at bats than guys who are hitting well. Especially with Laureano back, he'll be in that 2-hole, so it'll kind of work out. But I trust him. Especially on defensive side as well. So I think that's the move.
And who is your
guy? Let's do Mason's first.
Okay.
We'll do mine last because you guys both picked great ones, and I picked I didn't pick a bad one. I picked the middle of the road one. Mason's was Mark Canha. Mark Canha again also lit it up, and he played well against the Diamondbacks too. Just didn't get really any help. He had 2 home runs in the past week. Played some really good defense, especially against the Giants. Had like 2 great catches in center field. Again, taking over that center field spot for Ramon Laureano. Moving from left to center, and then Robbie Grossman played left field all weekend. He's been, he's just being Mark Canha. This is what he does. He plays solid defense. He has a lot of heart on the bench. Really boosts the guys up and gets them riled up and excited. He can cover a lot of ground out there. He very disciplined at the plate, and he hits home runs and flips bats. And it's out of the park, Mac. So yeah, good pick by Mason.
Why did you say it with that accent?
That's his name on Twitter.
I
It's
know,
out of
but
the
why'd you?
out of the park,
He's
Mac.
not from Boston. He's from.
I know he's
San
from
Jose.
he's from he's from
Why'd you
there.
say
But
with
that's how it's fucking spelled on his Twitter. Out of the park, Mac.
Out of the park, whatever. Okay.
Fucking look it up.
No,
It's
I know
out of the
that's
park,
I know
Mac.
that's his handle, but I don't think that. Okay. Anyways.
Sorry,
Yes.
Julio. Some of us like to have fun and use
You know what? Hey,
accents for comedy.
The unwritten rules is to not mock Boston
Of podcasting?
accents. Yes, of podcasting.
No, please.
I think the exciting thing, though, going off topic, is he actually got some time playing at first base. I believe it was the blowout yesterday. Not that, Matt Olson's never going to lose that position, but it's always reliable to have somebody like Mark Hanna who, if the unthinkable happens where we lose one of those core guys or the corner guys, you can easily slide him in and take over that position.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the baseball writer was earlier today that tweeted during the game after he hit that 2-run today. It's like he's consistently one of the most underrated players in baseball. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, there's so many teams that would die to have somebody like him, and I'm glad he's with Oakland.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would put him in the top 10, maybe top 8 left fielder in all of baseball.
Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely. He got some big.
He's a consistent 25 home runs. He's going to hit around 260, which in any other ballpark in the country would be like 270, 280. Yeah, he'll hit like 250, 260, and he'll play above average defense. Like,
he got some love during the MLB position rankings over this past offseason. Yeah, he was in the top 10 for sure. So
yeah. All right. So my essential tailgate tool of the week was Robbie Grossman. We all picked guys, who were gonna impact the Ramon Laureano suspension. Yeah, Robbie was just good. He was average. He did his normal thing. He, one night he'll get 1 hit, one night he'll get 0, the next night he'll get 2 or 3. He had a home run in the series opener against the Giants, which was really cool, but I benched him on my fantasy team, so that kind of sucked. Yeah, I liked him. He played well. I didn't try to go too crazy with this pick. So yeah.
He's playing for that contract year money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who's your player of the week?
I am going with our local dude, with Stephen Piscotty.
I like that one.
Was on fire this last week.
Grand slam.
Yeah. Batted .292, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs. He torched the Giants this weekend. And I'll be honest, I know we've talked, I don't know if we've really talked about it a lot on this podcast, but Chris and I have talked about this a lot offline as well, maybe on his other podcasts. I was very shaky on what Piscotty was going to do this season. Last year, injured majority of the year, we really didn't get to see him to play at all, and when he did play, he just wasn't playing well, especially compared to his first season where he hit something. He was like in the 260s, hit 25 home runs or 20 plus home runs, and he was looked awesome. He looked awesome in right field, very serviceable guy, and then last year fell off. I fell off the train, but this season, if the A's were to do their own comeback player of the year award, so far in the season, it's been him. He's been so good for that offense. I was blowing up Chris a lot this weekend, texting him in all caps saying, put him in the 2 hole. He deserves to hit up higher in the lineup, especially with how well he was. And honestly, Laureano, he came back from suspension last night. He didn't really do much on the hitting wise. I think he went 0 for 2 or for 3 tonight. If he's going to keep up that trend over this next week, don't be shocked if you see him drop down a little bit and Piscotty moves up there if he's going to continue this.
Also, Matt Olson's hitting 165. It's cool he gets a home run often, but yeah, that's kind of shitty.
Well, plus they play him so shifted. There's a lot of stuff on why.
Yeah.
His shift is insane for Olson, but
Yeah, I have all the same feelings except for I was not down on him this offseason. I knew that it was a nagging injury all last year. Like that's that's tough to get over, and they needed him, so he kept on playing hurt because they needed him to stay in the hunt in such a long season. Like same thing with Chris Davis last year. Like that just can really kind of like fuck with your momentum, and you can never really kind of put a couple good games together to get some for the season. I knew he was going to bounce back.
And
He came back fully healthy. He did a lot of working out in the off season during COVID. So him, Simeon, and Mark Canha are all from the Bay Area. So they're so I mean, just so that the audience knows, a lot of MLB players, probably most of them, they have their regular house, which is typically like in their hometown or something like that, like wherever they grew up, and then they have like their summer house, which is like wherever their team plays, because that's where they live during the season. Um, Simeon, Piscotty, and Canha, they don't have a summer house. Their summer house is their home house, so they're the only ones who live in the Bay Area year round. And they got together during COVID like a couple times a week, and they just like worked out and played and just kind of did it on their own because they're homies. And that like I saw a couple videos of him in his workouts, and he looked fine. Like he's playing better. He struggled a little bit the second week. He played really good the first week, struggled a little bit the second week, and then he totally picked it back up after that. He's got a huge arm, which is so important in that outfield. Just knowing when you're a team going up against running bases up against an outfield of Mark Canha, Laser Ramon, and Stephen Piscotty, like that's why so many guys get held up at third, because they know all three of those guys can just sling it at him. And yeah, I mean, if you look at his stats from his past couple of years, like the only bad seasons he's had have been again like injury-ridden seasons. So I was confident that he'd be good. He's yeah.
But before we jump up to your player, I think the one thing that you brought up, like a great point about it, is I think for yes, the being able to work out from home and all that was beneficial in this crazy COVID world we have right now, but especially for him, knowing how close and everything that his family has been through, being able to
Yeah.
be home majority of the season and not having to have insane road trips, I can imagine that's been so beneficial for him just to be with his family and spend that time and be able to go home after a game and all this other fantastic stuff. So I'm so happy that he's playing well right now. I hope he continues the pace.
Especially for his dad. So like obviously, his parents have been married for a long time. So when his mom passed away, his dad needed some hobbies. His dad's retired. Last year he was infamously known. He went to every single home game for the A's. It's a little bit tougher for him this year. He can't go to the games, but you know, little things like that. It's important. Like being close to his family and watching his son play. So yeah, I agree. Cool.
Who you
So
got?
It's down to the wire. I'm deciding between two guys.
Did I take your guy?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I want to pick Marcus Semien because he had a huge comeback week this week and he's hitting so much better. But I also just want to. Okay. So Marcus Semien is my player of the week, but the player who I want to talk about, who I want to give love to, is Joakim Soria. Joakim Soria has been a fucking gold in our bullpen this season. After like a really tough 2019 season, signed this huge contract, $8 million a year, for 2 years. Did not perform up to what we were expecting. He was supposed to be like our go-to setup guy. This year, he has only allowed up until today, he had not allowed a single run all season, and he had gotten a lot of a lot of pitching appearances. He's been so solid as like our go-to like close game, shut it down towards the end of a game like bullpen pitcher. Today he earned his first run. Late run that we were talking about earlier, and late in the game, like ninth inning, gave up a hit or a run or something like that. That was his first run of the entire season. He's been fucking great. So I just want to show him some love. But Marcus Semien is my pick of the week because he batted really well.
No, I'm glad you brought up Soria because again, he's one of these guys if you look at his track record, you look at his history, he's usually performed. He's a two-time All-Star. He's usually been a pretty consistent guy out of the pen for a lot of these teams has been on. Uh, to see him actually like perform that the way he has been this year, and even better than we thought he would be, it's been great. And especially, you always gotta get a little, at least for us, we always got a little more excited when we see some players from Mets go in the league, and
Yeah.
especially somebody who's playing so well. So keep it up, Marcus. Honestly, there's not much we can add to. The guy was a MVP finalist. He had a slow start, but he's going to be coming around. I think we
He
should be
he
seeing some big
always
things from him.
he always starts slow though. That's another thing that we forget. That we kind of forgot. He always starts slow. His first month is always rough, and then he picks it up. Cool. All right. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll get into our feature segment this week, which should be a lot of fun because it's about general baseball as well as the A's. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is the Town Tailgate Podcast with Chris Madrigal and Julio Reynoso. So let's hop into the featured segment, Julio.
Yeah.
This week, our segment is going to be called "What Works and What Doesn't." This is going to be we're going to do it in two parts. We're going to do first generally because we talked about it a lot how this baseball season is going to be kind of like an experiment. We're going to be able to try they're going to be able to try new things out, see if it works or not. So we've been like really wanting to do this segment for pretty much since we created the podcast, but we agreed we wanted to wait like at least a month in and like kind of like see things like play out and how they work and whatnot. So we're going to start with strictly baseball, the general baseball, and then we'll do for the A's what works and what doesn't. So, Julio, I'll let you do the first one. Julio, what works and what doesn't?
On this first topic, no, that's too much. The first thing,
PTI.
yeah, no fan viewing experience. Now, this is a little broad. This isn't just not having any fans in the actual stadium itself, but the actual game of how they're scheduling things out, how the actual national TV schedule is working, how the announcers calling from their home stadium was working as a whole. If I had to kind of leave this off, I'd say it started off pretty choppy. I don't remember if we talked about it on the pod or if this was off air, but you can tell that there was definitely some learning curves. Especially, I noticed Glenn Kuiper, when Matt Olson hit that walk-off, his home run call was kind of okay-ish because they kind of just lost crowd and they lost sight of the ball, and it sounded like they were pretty dependent on the crowd to kind of like amp them up a little bit. And plus, it was pretty quiet at the Coliseum. I know they put the artificial sounds up there, but it wasn't really working. But as a whole, I think it's improved a lot. You can tell the announcers are really starting to feel themselves. You can tell that a lot of the stadiums are actually doing a pretty good job when it comes to like the fake crowd noise. I will say what's not working though is the weird CGI'd fans that they've been doing, like Fox Sports has been doing.
Yeah, that in the Giants game, that was really fucking weird. I wasn't digging that at all. Especially because like a home run ball, just like I forgot whose home run it was, but it just nailed the fans in the what would have been in their face, and they just don't react. So it's just like, all right, what's the point of this? Like, what's going on here?
It's like, oh, that happened. But the one thing that I've been complaining about that should be more is they just need to have baseball on all day.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, that's not working. That's definitely not working. We can split it up in a few parts. Let's say that the calling games from the home stadium, it was broken, but they fixed it. I think that's how we can.
Yeah, but again,
I think that they just gave them more camera angles because you got to give them access to all these camera angles. I think that's what it was. I think the first couple games they're like, oh, we'll give you 3 monitors, you'll figure it out, but they probably extended that, I would assume.
Yeah, it's
sorry, go ahead.
I think the big part is, well, one, we said like if you're going to have a lot of people are working from home, or a lot of people are kind of forced to be home because of just the COVID world and just have to be precautionary. And why wouldn't you have this on all day? I know a lot of us have been watching basketball all day over the last couple of days, the playoffs,
Yeah.
and it's just a great opportunity. And you brought up the point off air, or I think in the pre-show. Why doesn't ESPN or ESPN2 or ESPN Plus or ESPN the Ocho, whatever they want to do, start showing more national games during the day? They were given that same attention to the Korean Baseball League, which, God bless you, you saved me a lot of pain through those first few months of quarantine.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
why don't you have the same thing with Major League Baseball? Is there like a weird deal? Or Fox Sports? Why don't you try to pick it up over there? There's or Turner Sports. It doesn't make sense. Like, you should be doing more of this.
It especially doesn't make sense because you look at the lineups that ESPN2 and FS2 are playing. So ESPN has like you said, a million channels. They have ESPN Plus. Probably get a lot of ESPN Plus subscribers out there who would watch baseball games. I would. You have ESPN2, which ESPN2 all they do is run reruns of ESPN talking head shows all day. It's like, all right, so like Get Up's in the morning, right after Get Up's done on ESPN, they air it on ESPN2. Right after First Take's done on ESPN, they air it on ESPN2. It's just like, well, just use that airtime. We don't have to fucking watch Get Up twice. Just use that airtime to air baseball games, and then adjust the schedule. Make like half the East Coast teams every day play afternoon games. So then they're starting at 10 in the morning. I would wake up at 10 in the morning and watch a game if it was nationally televised. Like, I just, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, they have the capital to do it, so why wouldn't you do it? Like, maybe there's like some legal jargon in all these like blackout rules that fucking MLB has, which is also ruining the game. Just amend those for a season, like, and work out a deal with these networks. I guarantee they would have, at least a month ago, they would have loved to have the coverage.
I can imagine you probably nailed it right on the head. Is a lot of these networks probably have like their own private syndication or cable laws, and the only reason why we're getting basketball all day now is because it's playoffs and it's on ESPN, TNT, and then NBA TV.
But even the remainder of the regular season, it was like 3 games on TNT, and then like 3 games were like local, you know?
But at the same time, like, what the hell else is TNT can only show so many Batman movies during the day.
Exactly.
Like, they kind of hit their wall with, but at the same time, like, yeah, we talk about Fox or ESPN with their talking heads and all that, but like Fox Sports, dude, nobody's watching Fox Sports.
No.
Like, what do you have to show during the day? You're gonna have a talking heads NASCAR
You think
show?
I give 2 shits about Nick Wright and Chris Carter arguing in the morning? No,
Nick Wright and his fake hair.
Yeah, Nick Wright's the worst. I fucking hate Nick Wright.
I've gained a little more respect over him over the last 6 months or so. Because
I lost respect for him when he made Baker Mayfield the 8th best quarterback in the league last year, and Baker Mayfield was terrible.
And he's a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I mean, he's a homer for everybody. We don't have to get. Nick Wright sucks. We don't have to get into this.
Yeah, he does it during the time. Before we jump to the next one, let's do. Let's give it a grade. I'd say right now, I'd say give it a B.
You give the viewing experience.
Seeing how it started out as and where it is now, it's or B minus. There's definitely some things that they can improve on. Having games more accessible throughout the day for everybody, because like I can watch baseball all day because I have MLB TV, but there's people who still don't have that or have local restrictions. It could be better.
I totally disagree. It's a C minus. It's barely passing. It's just like, just spread out your games. Like, you don't have to like, so you, in terms of why most regular season games these days are at night is because they want fans to be able to come to games. So you do it after they get off work and they go to a game, and you can sell tickets and you make money that way. If you don't have to do that, if you can't have fans and you don't have to get any revenue that way, why the fuck are you doing games at night every night? Everybody, well, I mean, not everybody anymore, but most people are still home. They're working from home. They have background noise on their TV. Just fucking air games all day. Like, spread it out. It's so fucking stupid. You could have half the like NL, like you could do it like, okay, so the AL East tonight is gonna have night games. But the NL East, they're going to have day games, 1 o'clock start time. So they start at, for us, 10 in the morning. For the East Coast, 1 p.m. And then you have the Central. All right, so NL Central is going to start tonight. Do night games tonight. But then AL Central they're going to be afternoon games. So then they start at 11 o'clock. So then we're just running through games all fucking day. Just like basketball. It's just, it's typical poor planning.
All right.
It's the little things.
Next topic.
All right, Julio. Extra innings. The extra innings rule for a man on second. I think, personally, it definitely works. It speeds up the process of the extra innings while also making it a lot more exciting. Sometimes you go through extras and it's like, okay, cool, strike out the side. But having a man on second, even while you're striking out the side, it's just like, it's that extra little push that makes it just a little bit more intense and you tune in a little bit closer. And it gets kind of like the pressure goes on the pitchers and whatnot too. I absolutely love it. And how they, you thought going into the season there'd be a lot of sacrifice bunts to move the runner over to third. They haven't been doing that a lot. It's been kind of surprising and kind of cool, and I love it. And then it kind of rides up the score a little bit too. I think it works.
It's awesome.
What say you?
Yeah, I love it. It was one of those things that I think there was a lot of questions going into the season. Other leagues across the world have been doing this rule before, but it's kind of like the same thing with a lot of us are doing with fantasy football and stuff like that right now. It's like, hey, this is the year to try out some weird stuff. Why not give it a try? And it's been great. Again, preserves pitchers' arms. The one thing I'm still a little confused about is how I haven't really looked into it either, is how the scoring goes. So if who is charged with the runner on second? Is it whoever is pitching the previous inning? Is it whoever is pitching now? Because technically, whoever's on second is the person who made the last out.
I don't know if you earn a run.
So it's just hogwash.
You give up a run, but I don't think you earn a run as a pitcher.
So, okay, so let's say hypothetically, let's say it's A's have Simeon on second, and Laureano's up to pitch, and then Jose Leclerc does a pitch, home run. He's only charged with 1 run then, right? Because it's...
Yeah, I think so, but I'd have to pay closer attention. I haven't noticed. So next time there's an extra innings, we'll keep track of that so we can see.
Or we'll also
we'll look at the pitchers. We'll look at the pitcher's ERA beforehand, and we'll look at the pitcher's ERA after.
But at the same time, too, I feel like I'm not really paying too much close attention to it because of the anxiety of the runner being on second.
Honestly, what I'm saying is we'll make a note of it now, and we'll try to do that moving forward.
What would you give it? What's your grade?
Oh, this is an A. Yeah. This is a top-notch move, and great job by Major League Baseball finally thinking outside the box and being open-minded. I hope they keep this. It's great. I love it. I love it. What's your grade?
I would give it the same as the Emma Stone comedy movie. Guess easy A. That's an easy A. I would give it an A+. But again, I think there's still a little for me at least, there's a little confusion on how the run thing works out, but that's so minimal. It's been awesome. I hope they keep it.
Yeah. Good job by you, Robbie Manfred. Good job by you, Robbie.
Next up.
All right. Next up, Julio. What works and what doesn't?
Our next one, this is the last one for the MLB. The Universal DH. This is the first season of the Universal DH. I can't. What? Well, I'll think of the grade a little bit later. I'll try to think of the term for it. Honestly, it seems too early to tell. I think
I can't tell, man. I can't tell either.
I think the long term, this is going to be great for baseball as a whole. If this does stay, and I really hope it does, because you're going to provide 16 more roster spots for guys who are on their last legs. You're creating more jobs. There's going to be a lot of guys who in the NL who are going to be getting older in age. They want to still stay with the said team. The team wants to keep them. Well, guess what? You have a DH spot. And plus, honestly, as glorious as it is to see a pitcher hit a home run every few thousands at bats, most of the time it's pretty dumb. But the thing is, we're not really seeing any specific teams take advantage of that right now. We're not seeing I think the Dodgers was like a team. The Dodgers and the Cubs were two teams I thought for sure were like they have a surplus of players who would take full advantage of this, especially somebody like Kyle Schwarber, who's kind of a defensive liability, and they've kind of been rotating around. And same thing as the Dodgers, they don't have an everyday DH. They're kind of rotating guys
Mm-hmm.
around, giving people, which is honestly that's a good way to use it too. Whereas you look at like Nelson Cruz is 40 or pushing 40 41, and he's still dropping bombs in the DH spot.
Yeah.
We've not seen that yet. So who knows? Maybe somebody in the NL could catch fire, or you could see a trade with somebody going to the NL and they become a full time DH. How about you?
Week and a half left till the trade deadline. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah, it's too early to tell, man. But I like to say it works because it, like you said, it creates jobs. But I don't know. I haven't looked up the stats. I feel like the writers will come up with those stats at the end of the season, which will be nice to see. But I don't. I mean, I've been pushing for this for fucking years. Like the entire thing about the whole pitcher spot is just it's a waste. In like, the NL homers who like fucking argue about, oh, it's not real baseball because you don't have to use the strategy of the pitcher spot. Like, no, you're not using strategy for 2 fucking innings when they have to when they hit those 2 innings because you know they're gonna bunt. So it's like, okay, cool, this is a fucking wash of an out. It doesn't become strategy until like the 6th inning, where now you actually have to like strategize the way you pitch around down the entire lineup. It's completely different. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it works, but I just can't tell. So I'm gonna give it a B minus right now, just because I need to have more knowledge.
The term I was trying to think of. You're from a family educator, so you would know. Uh, what there's like an actual grade you give on a report card that's like to be determined or not enough to view. I can't remember. I wish I could give it that, but yeah, screw it. B minus.
Yeah, honestly, I don't. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it
Yeah.
either. I know what you're talking about though. It's like incomplete or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So we're like, I
Yeah.
think long term it's going to be an A, but what
Yeah.
it's doing in
Yeah.
the season, yeah, we'll see.
All right, so let's get into what works and doesn't work for the A's. Julio, what works and what doesn't work? The first thing is the catcher platoon. It's fucking working, bro. These two young guys are fucking crushing it. It's so great because Sean Murphy not so well with the bat. He has his good days, he has his bad days, but defensively he is a stud. He throws everybody out. No balls get past him. Balls in the dirt. It's just great. It's great to watch. And Austin Allen, I mean, it's starting to make that fuck, what was it? What was the
Jerks and Profar.
shortstop? Was it
He was in the
Jurickson
Profar trade.
Profar?
That's what we got.
Oh, okay. Jurickson Profar trade kind of worked because he's still very young, 26. He's killing it with his bat. He's playing pretty solid defense, and they both hit. I mean, again, like Sean Murphy, has his days, but they more or less both hit very well against their respective sides of the plate. I'm liking it. And the best thing about this, Julio, both guys are locked up till 2026. We may never
Yep.
see a new catcher for the A's ever again.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. But they're both 26 and younger. I think Sean Murphy's 24. Austin Allen's 26. It's fucking awesome. I love it. It is working.
Yeah. I honestly I love it too. This was one of the positions I was hoping we would get some sort of aging catcher who could at least come in there and like teach these guys, or if they were to fall through, they kind of back. Oh, so that's why I was like really hoping like Stephen Vogt would resign, or there was rumors of like maybe even a Matt Wieters. But it's turned out really good so far. The number offensively, they're doing enough. Again,
Austin Allen's been good.
yeah. Combined, they have 3 home runs. I believe like 7 RBIs. If you always got to look at these platoons as like one mega player. The great thing about Sean Murphy, excuse me, he walks. He is so patient at the plate, and he gets on all the time. You already mentioned they're great defenders behind the plate. I have noticed though, especially with this Luzardo game, and this was something that we talked about off air in a previous show, was you're going to see Murphy's connection a lot with these guys he pitched with in the minors. So when Luzardo's up, of course he pitched lights out with him behind the plate. When Puck eventually does come back, I imagine that same expectation. But so far, we don't really need too much from them offensively because, again, there's so much power up and down that lineup. Them getting 3 home runs combined is already enough. And you brought the best point of all. It's like they're on contract for another 5 to 6 years. So fantastic. Like an A minus so far.
I like that. That's it. I feel comfortable with the future at catcher moving forward. Even if one of these guys falls off, we still got the other. That's the best part about it. And the catching platoon has always kind of worked for us. Think about like 2002 with like Derek Norris.
2002
or 2012. Sorry, 2012. 2012, 2013. Derek Norris and Stephen Vogt. Like that platoon worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
John Jaso when he was kind of in that platoon too.
Well, you said 2002, and I thought of Ramon Hernandez and Adam Melhuse.
Yeah.
And then Jason Kendall and Adam Melhuse.
Jason Kendall and Kurt Suzuki, and then
At the
Kurt
end of it.
Suzuki
Mm-hmm.
and Powell. I forgot his first name.
Landon Powell.
Landon Powell. It's always kind of worked.
And it also helps when your manager was a former big league catcher. Marcus Jensen, A's bullpen coach. Shout out Marcus. Former catcher as well. Having that experience is huge.
Yeah, and Austin, you were saying Sean Murphy is chemistry. Austin Allen, they show him all the time in the dugout. He's still fucking like laughing it up and like joking around with those guys. You can tell he's really connecting with them too. It's great. I give this one a AA for Austin Allen. AA.
AA.
Get it?
MCO.
All right, Julio. What works and what doesn't?
Our next one, what works and what doesn't? The bullpen. Wowee. This was the thing. Yeah, this was probably outside of the second base stuff, and we've already praised Matt Kemp enough, so I don't think we really want to talk about it too much in here. The bullpen was the biggest issue going into the season, and they have been excellent, and the numbers are showing. Liam Hendricks has shown that he is one of the best, if not the best, closers in baseball. Joaquin Soria, as a setup man, has been lights out. Yusmeiro Petit has been a freaking workhorse, just going in and pitching almost every day. Chris loves it when he does and tweets about it.
Birch Smith, Birch.
Yeah, the bad Birch. Ooh, man, he's been out of nowhere too. He's been so good. It's kind of a bummer that he's on the IL. Really, the only question mark, or then Jake Diekman's been so good as well. He's kind of getting
huge bounce back here. Back.
Yeah, he has. Somebody was giving me shit about this a while back when I said this to them, but I said he has the stuff. He just got to get it out. He just needs to figure it out. And he's like, well, that's every pitcher. I'm like, well, shut up. But no, but it's showing it. Especially like if you have a lefty that can throw 90 plus out of the pen, that's so lethal. The only guy who's really, and this could be a whole therapy session of just us talking to each other about it, but like Lou Trevino, he's still the one guy. He looked so promising the 2018 rookie season. He had a really rough year last year, and it's more or less continued over to this season.
Yeah, every other pitcher, and except for a few guys who had small stints, like Jordan Weems didn't play so well. But every single pitcher in our bullpen, we didn't even talk about JB Winelkin. Yep. He's been very solid too. I mean, he had like one bad game, but that was a game where the A's were already kind of like losing. I think they're losing by like 2 runs to the Angels or something like that. Yeah, he's been the only just dark spot. And James Caprillion got brought down. Was it today or yesterday? I think it was today. Yeah. And Paul Blackburn got brought up. I don't get that. That call up and bring down. Like, it definitely, like, Caprillion he only had 1 inning, but he had a solid inning. Gave up the home run, but other than that, he looked pretty good. And I think I would rather see what I got with Caprillion than give Lou Trevino his 30th second chance,
I have a conspiracy theory. I put my tinfoil hat on. I think he's going
Okay.
to be a trade bait.
Caprillion?
Yeah. Well, look,
Interesting.
Puck is pitching again. He's going to be coming up probably for the next couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
Once Birch is healthy, he's going to be back. I'd imagine uh, Trevino, it might get sent back down when Puck comes up. Who knows? But
Hmm.
it's like, hey, this is what he's got at this level. We'll keep him down in the lower levels to keep him healthy. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
shocked if we've. I'm sure we'll talk a little maybe next week about any potential trades or anything that would kind of make us excited with the trade
Hmm.
deadline coming up in a couple weeks. But hey, conspiracy theory hat.
All right. Interesting. I'm hoping that we get some interesting articles from Passon and Rosenthal and Slusser and people who would know some stuff, so we can talk some potential trades next week. All right. So what grade do you give it?
I'm
Definitely works, by the way. Definitely
yeah
works.
yeah 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 definitely fantastic. I'd give I'd give them an A+. Honestly, the expectations were so low into the season, and they've just been lights out for the first month.
The Lou Trevino thing kind of gives it a lower grade for me. I think I give it an A minus, maybe a B plus, just because he's had two really bad outings. So I think it kind of favors towards B plus. But other than that, like
And
the other guys bring that average up. Like he's getting like 40% on tests, but the other guys are getting 95. So like the
group
average is
project,
kind
baby.
of like, yeah, it's working out a little bit.
And the biggest another thing too, before we jump on to the next project or the next subject, is they're bailing out the rotation when they have bad games.
Yeah.
They A's would not have won the first two games of that Giants series if
Hmm.
the bullpen didn't kind of ease the craziness of those starts from um, who started on Saturday, Manaya and Luzardo. They kind of bailed them out. So
Yeah. All right. Last thing that works and what doesn't work. The young pitchers. I'm kind of indifferent on this because Manaya hasn't been pitching well, except he had a good start this past weekend. But Luzardo and Montaz, except for yesterday, have been phenomenal. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm really concerned for Manaya. I really am, because I really thought he was going to be like our main guy moving forward. Um, I want to say it works though, but I'm hesitant. It's like middle of the pack.
yeah, we were thought our rotation was going to be the more dominant the bullpen, but yeah, we're Manaya has not something happened to him in that wild card game.
Yeah.
He got the he got the yips, but who knows? Montas, yeah, he didn't look great the other day. I wouldn't be shocked if there are still some lingering injury issues from him missing the start. Maybe he just had it pitched during that time and wasn't back in shape, which I wouldn't be shocked if his next outing he comes back and pitches lights out.
Yeah.
Luzardo, he did not look great on Friday against the Giants, but at the same time, Giants have a dominant righty lineup, so when you have a lefty coming in, of course they're going to see the ball a
Mhm.
little better, and it's on short notice. But when those two guys are on, they're like those are going to be like that's our future. When you see those two guys,
I feel
especially
yeah.
with whenever Puck comes back up, uh, there's they look like they're on it, but yeah, it's still shaky. It doesn't help too that Mike Fiers has been a little inconsistent as well. And even
Mhm.
though when you have somebody who in your rotation who you know the day after, like, oh well, I had a bad game today, but I know tomorrow we'll be in a little better shape because this guy's pitching. We
Mhm.
don't know what to get out of Fires the next day, and who knows? I think the potential's still really high with those two and Manaya. I still think there's still some hope in him, but right now I'd probably give it like a C.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I give it a C minus, like barely passing, just because of the Manaya
If you were to
situation.
exclude
But there,
Manaya,
but there were some bright spots in Manaya's last
mhm,
start that he could be turning it around.
if you were to exclude Manaya, this would probably be like B plus A minus.
Yeah,
Easily.
I would give it a solid B. I think, just because of the minor wrinkles between like each had a rough start. Cool.
So, but yeah, but it's funny. Like we're kind of in universal, like in unison that like they're playing. This team as a whole is still playing great. They're still one of the best teams in baseball, despite
Yeah.
these weird little nuances. There's nothing else we can really complain too much about. So hey, we're happy, I guess.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I know we sound biased, but we couldn't really think of anything major that isn't working, like at least a major subject, you know? Like, we could say, like, Sean Manaea not working, but, like, the point of this was to think of, like, general topics.
Yeah,
whether it was
and there
working or
wasn't
not.
much that I think we were in real conflict about, at least when it came to the A's. That we're all kind of like,
Yeah.
yep, that sounds right.
I mean, we're in first place, the best team in the American League. There's
Yeah,
not really too
exactly,
much to bitch
exactly.
about right now. Okay, cool. So let's preview the upcoming week, shall we?
Let's do it. We have a upcoming series
All right.
at home against the Angels. Thank God,
Last series against the Angels for the year.
and I will say, thank God. I do not
Yeah.
want to see Mike Trout and his dad energy against the A's
Yeah.
anymore. Please go put it on another team.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad that it's at home too, and maybe we'll play a little
Yeah.
better. And then we head to Texas, and we get to play the Rangers. We get to play the team that's managed by the biggest boomer in the history of baseball, the pussy who said unwritten rules. I'm just kidding.
Chris Woodward.
Yeah. Then we go to Texas to play the Rangers. Yeah, Angels. I think we could. We're at home, so I feel a little better. So I think we might win 2 out of 3. And then the Rangers, I'm pretty confident we can sweep them. If yeah, I'm pretty confident.
Now
we can sweep
this
them.
is when Chris Davis is going to christen the new stadium.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Fact check correctly this time.
Yeah.
We are actually. They will be in Dallas or technically
Arlington.
not Dallas. Arlington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only I think I like that you said 2 out of 3 from the Angels because again we're kind of giving our credit to Dylan Bundy. He's been so great for them. I don't think we've looked. At least I haven't checked into how the rotation lines up against Texas in the coming week. But if we're going against Lance Lynn, hold on to your butts because he's been one of the best pitchers in the American League so far in the season. He had a really great game tonight against the Padres. He only gave up 2 runs. He had I think he was like the first starter this season to throw a complete game last week against was the Padres. I can't remember, but it's always fun when they play Texas. It's gonna be cool to see the new stadium, their new barbecue grill they got going on.
Oh yeah.
But something we got to be aware of. We talked about this. Chris hinted at it for a minute, and then I've brought up earlier in the show. Road woes. The starting against the Rangers on Monday or Tuesday. Their next 10 games are on the road. They go Houston to Texas Arlington, Houston
to Houston,
Seattle.
Yeah.
Which pretty winnable series. Houston's playing a lot better, but we'll see what's going to happen with Jordan out and then whatever's going on with Bregman's injury. But this is going to be a more or less make or break series, a stretch for the season of like, do you want to be taken serious as a AL contender? I know you've been very vocal about like how the A's have been disrespected a lot when it came to power rankings at the best record in baseball, but they're still second and third. If they want to be up in that number 1 tier team, past the Dodgers and the Yankees and all that stuff, all those other teams, they've got to be successful on this road trip.
Yeah. I don't really have too much to add. I think you kind of said it all. And I think the Texas is a good team to start off a road trip like that because then maybe you can get some momentum going on the road and kind of break this little like curse they got going.
The road curse.
Cool. Let's pick our essential tailgate tool of the week. Julio, you may go first because you're the best cat dad there is. To listeners, that's the shirt he's wearing right now. Best cat dad.
I've said this. We've talked about him so many times. I feel like somebody has used him as third player of the week to watch. Man, Sean Manaea this last start.
I've used him twice.
Yeah, third time's the charm. He looked really good the other day. It kind of gave us some faith again. And during the radio broadcast with Korak tonight, he said his changeup is actually starting to look normal again. It's kind of looked like what it had been in the past, and how it looked in the beginning of, or last September when he came back and looked so great.
Yeah.
And I think going against, again, got to look up where the rotation's going to line up. But if he were to go against either playing at home against the Angels, and again, friendly confines of pitching at home, or playing in Texas, where there have been said that this has been more of a pitcher stadium than the old ballpark in Arlington was, this could be very beneficial. And we talked about kind of make or break with this series. This is a make or break week for him, because if he has another bad start, there's no more room for errors anymore. Like, he's either going to the pen or they got to send him down.
Yeah.
There's no more room for him, especially with how well Burt Smith has been pitching, with puck coming up, with trade deadline coming up. Like, this is like, you got to show that you have it, or they're gonna have to make some moves and move you out of that position.
Quick shout out to Ken Korak. He's celebrating his 25th season as the A's radio broadcaster.
And the lights have taken full effect.
Oh yeah. And we will watch it fly. Yeah, I mean, I even said it the last time I picked Sean Manaea, which was 2 weeks in a row, if you remember. I said he's gonna keep showing up on this Tailgate Tool of the Week, because until he starts to show some promising, puts together some promising starts, because he's gonna be the guy in the rotation to watch, because Paul Blackburn just got brought up, like you just said, and AJ Puck is looming around the corner. Yes, I know that they had talked about he's probably gonna be a bullpen guy, but when it comes down to it and Manaea's not getting it done, we're going to have to figure this out and fix it. Manaea is very good in the first 2 innings, and after that, he falls off. So I like that one. All right, so mine is more positive note. Stephen Piscotty.
Hey!
He's hot. I just picked him up on my fantasy team because he's so hot.
Hey-o.
He, again, you said he had a really good week, batting 290, 93, I think you said, this past week. He's got to keep it up. I want him to keep doing that, especially with Olsen kind of in at least an average slump, batting average slump. And Ramon, this past couple games, starting off a little bit slow, coming off his suspension. We need Big Stevie P to keep going and put up these solid numbers and hit grand slams. So he's going to be my tailgate tool to watch, because I think that also he is such an impactful person in that clubhouse that if he gets going, other people are going to go. And maybe he can light a fire under Chris Davis's ass and he'll get going. So Stephen Piscotty is my essential tailgate tool of the week.
Love it. Got to keep that Bay Area pride going.
Oh, yeah. All right, Julio. I think that's going to do it for this week.
Thank you all for listening. This was a lot of fun, but it's time.
It's time. Let's pack it up.
Let's go head on.
Toss the coals.
Let me let's find a way to sneak in my 19 crimes bottle of wine here.
Take down the pop-up because the game is starting. Thank you very much for listening. And last but not least, Julio.
Let's go Oakland.
Woo! The Town Tailgate is an independently produced podcast. It is written and executive produced by this guy, Chris Madrigal, and my partner in crime, Julio Reynoso. It is sound mixed and edited by yours truly. Social media management and marketing is run by, once again, my partner, Julio Reynoso. And a special thanks and shout out to my brother, Larry Madrigal, for composing and producing our theme song, as well as graphic designing our album cover and artwork. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please tune in next week. Please subscribe. And last but not least, as we always say, let's go Oakland.